all for being here. Thank you, Mike, for that beautiful introduction. Thank you, Unity of Salt Lake City, and thank you, Asia, that beautiful song. Like, I needed it. I needed that song. I needed you to say that. All we need is love that many times. Thank you, Bob Nielsen, for filming me, and Asia, Joy. And I'm grateful to be here. And it has been a long time. And Irene, when she called to invite me, and she said that the subject of the month would be love. So I told her I'll speak on love. And she asked me for a title of the talk, and I said, love, categorical imperative. And she texted me back, are you sure that's the title? Categorical imperative? Are you sure? And I text her back, yes, you got it right. It was categorical imperative, love. And I don't think she understood, but she was okay, great. I'll put it on the program. That's fine if that's what you want, Grace. She's sharing up there. She did it. So I'll start with a little story of why I titled it that. When my son came to my very first radio program, which was a conversation, it was Grace on Fire Conversations, and I have that recorded on his website, oneworldcommunity.com. And I have it actually queued to the very end of that radio conversation, the last 2 minutes. And what he says is, we're all saying that we need to come together. But the real question is, what is it that we got to come together on? Good question, right? And then he says, while I have this time on the air, I want to tell the world what it is I believe we should all come together on. And he says, this is what's most important. It's what Kant, he was a philosopher, he has a minor's degree in philosophy up at VU, Kant would call a categorical imperative. Categorical imperative. Everything is subsidiary to this. Everything is subsidiary to this. The eternal survival of the human species or something greater. And that's what he lived for, was the human species. And that the human species comes together and survives. And he goes a little further on to that, to talking about that in order for us to survive, we need to end war. We need to evolve. We need to end poverty. We need to end slavery. And he goes on to all these amazing things that are just profound and powerful. And so when she asked me to talk about love, I thought about this, what is that most important thing? Now, with the eternal survival of the human species and us coming together on something, I have done immense meditation since he transitioned July 24th, 2017. That was what he lived for. I mean, he talked, survival of the human species. I mean, since he was a little boy, the human species needs to survive. And he talked about the eternal survival. Eternal survival. And he and I actually had arguments about it at the time. Not arguments, because we would debate, I would say. We never really argued about it, but we had our debates. And I'd say, well, we're infinite spirit. We're infinite eternal grace. There's so many species out in the universe. And you go, Mom! How can you say that? That we are humans now. That's the species that God is animating through now. Yeah, maybe there are a zillion species out there and a zillion planets. And I taught my kids to be very open-minded. We never had religion, but we would read lots of angel stories, right? And stories of impossibilities and unexplained mysteries and things that were, profound. That's what I taught my kids. We would read them every night and every morning, dinner time and stuff. And I, you know what, while he was alive, I really didn't get it. But now that he has transitioned, that human body that he embodied, that God energy, that divine spark of light and love animated through that human body. I get it now. I get it now. We are humans right now. We are a vastly intelligent species. And I believe the greatest gift we have is love. The greatest gift we have. So coming together, yeah, survival of this human species, because you know what? If we come together about the bees and the dandelions and the whales, that's all great, but if we're not here to enjoy them, if the species isn't here to enjoy them, and the species is threatened. There's many scientists I've been studying since, and there's a lot of varying opinions. But if we continue to go the way we do, we're going right now, and exploiting the earth and our bodies and nature, then the war and the slavery, if we continue to go, there is a definite real risk that this species could be extinct. So I completely get where he was coming from now. And the fact that he has physically manifested to some people, I'm like, wow, there's nothing I would want more right now than just have that human. And then I start thinking to myself, we read a lot of stories about people manifesting and angels manifesting and disappearing, and his consciousness is filled with that. And then I thought more, wow, could that be the eternal survival of the human species? I mean, if a physical body can come down and manifest in the physical after it has passed, wow, I'm on board with him. I'm on board with that. I am so on board with coming together for the eternal survival of the human species. Now nothing more excites me. But if this species, if we are an eternal species, really, love needs to be that categorical imperative. It really does. There can't be anything more important than love. Because if we come together and we are living on this planet and we put things less than that, and trust me, it happens. Irene invites me to speak about love. I was talking to Polly. This week has been the most unloving week I've experienced inside myself that I can remember in my life. All my wounds have come in. Okay, say you're going to talk about love, and what shows up? Everything but it. In intensity, all week long. And I'm thinking, I can't get up there and talk about love. I'm just going to cry the whole time. Or I was with Barb, I wanted to run. I was like, I can't go tomorrow. Tell them I'm sick. Anything, tell them anything. And Bob understands. It's been a difficult week. It's been a hard week as far as love in my heart. And as I was sitting here meditating, some stories came up. We had talked about some stories, Barb and I might weave that in. But one of the stories that had come up, and this has come up a lot since John has transitioned. There's been a lot of stories. And so I just want to share some stories, if it's okay. Can I just share some stories? One of the stories is I was flying back on the airplane from Massachusetts a couple years ago with John. John and I were sitting next to each other in the plane. And I don't know what came up, but he was criticizing me. It was probably, I'm sure, knowing my wounds, it was very constructive, loving contribution to me. I'm sure. But for some reason, my wound was like, oh. But I literally sat on the plane next to him the whole flight. And I kept reminding myself on that flight, you know what? More important than anything is that I feel a love and an affinity and a connection to my son. And then that intensity would come up and I go, you know what? More than anything for me right now is to feel a love and affinity and connection to my son. And I was pretty much silent that whole trip. I let him talk, I let him say what I had a little bit of things to say, but I didn't get too defensive, and I didn't, and I mean, if I had let myself, if I hadn't been chanting that, I would have been, Bob's smiling because I forgot to say, I actually said that to myself this week a few times, but I didn't shut my mouth. But do you have any idea how grateful I am? Right now, in my life, that I sat on that airplane and I didn't create an argument and create that separation and that wall and that disconnect and that lack of affinity and lack of connection and love. Oh my, infinitely grateful. Beyond infinitely grateful. And then there was another experience, and it was the last time I saw him. Very last time I saw him in the physical. And I came over to his house. And I was heading to a yoga retreat up at Telluride, Colorado. And I'd asked him the night before if he could take a case of water and put it in the freezer for me, so we'd have ice and water on our travels. I just thought that was a great idea. Sure, Mom, sure, yep. You know, anyone who knows John, the most intense expression of love that I've ever experienced, and many people have ever experienced. And I got to the house, and he hadn't put the water in the freezer. And so I just let it go, you know, no big deal. It's the connection, the love. And then he had a tenant there that was really in a bad space, and she came up to me and she said, I don't know if he's feeding those chickens right, I don't know if he's feeding, I'm not sure, I think they're, you know, and she just wasn't. And like the first thing inside, because I could feel her energy, and my first thing was like, John, are you feeding those damn chickens? You know, are they starving? What the hell? You know, because I was feeling her energy, and I love animals, and I love the chickens, and if anyone who knows me for the last 5 years, I will not eat a caged egg. I go to a restaurant, I'm eating oatmeal. Because most restaurants use caged eggs, and it's in the pancakes, it's in the French toast, it's in the omelets, so what do you eat? Oatmeal, cereal, you know, whatever. But I won't do that because they can't move. They're in the dark, they lose their eyesight, they lose their beat. I can't promote it. So that intensity inside of me, that compassion for the chickens, and right, you know, but I just said to him, I said, John, are you feeding the chickens? Are they doing all right? And I said it in that tone. And he said, yeah, Mom, I am. And I said, great, good, thank you. And we hugged. Do you know that scenario could have gone so much differently? And do you know that was the last time I saw him physically on this planet, up to date? Because I'm not, if other people have seen him manifest, I'm keeping that open to me. I mean, more than open. I know it will happen for me because I know my son, and he knows me, and he knows it. He showed up for someone else physically manifested. That would be the only, that he doesn't, he's not a carrot dangler, and he knows me. And he knows that I would want that very, very much for myself. And he wouldn't tease me, like, not that it's a tease, and whatever happens, happens, and I know I'm attached to that. But I'm doing the best I can. I would love to see him physically manifest. But what he does tell me, because he's been channeling me from me all the time, is, Mom, that's not what it's about. It's about connecting with me in every single way. Channeling, feeling me, seeing me in the breeze, and the birds, and all the ways he's been visiting me. He sat as a dragonfly for 3 days on a branch of a tree, did not move an inch. You know, once in a while, a dragonfly would go and go back on the branch for 3 days. Now, dragonflies, that's not natural for dragonflies. And I could tell you so many animal visitations. There's a deer, a buck, right after he passed, would come and eat from my bird feeder, sit right by the little picture of Asia and John, 2 little kids, my 2 children, and for 2 hours. There was a couple nights I was like, John, I gotta pee. I'm not gonna leave till you leave. But I'm getting cold. But that was the last time I saw him, and it could have gone a lot different. But it went good. And then he left to go to work. He was on, actually, it was very synchronistic because he was on break from work and I had come over. I was just going to go grab the water. I wasn't even expecting to see him. But we did have that moment, and that's when I'd asked him about my SCOBY. He had had a kombucha class the week before, and he says, where's my SCOBY? And he put his arms around this jar, and he says, Mom, I'm brewing you a batch of tea myself. And he had this necklace on, and he put it against it with his heart. You can imagine how sacred that batch of kombucha tea is. I've got a lock on the refrigerator with the first 3 batches. But I also have to say that not every time we were together did that happen. There were times that he and I had conversations where I did close down my heart, or where I didn't listen to him with that space of deep connection and love. And those times are very painful for me to touch on. Very painful. Probably the most painful thing that I could do is to think of those times. I don't think there's anything more painful for me than to think of the times where I missed out on the love and the connection that we could have had. And what he always tells me is, I'm here now, Mom, you can love me now. I'm here now, Mom, that's gone, I'm here now. I'm here now, you can love me now. And that's only time there is, and we can love now. He's my teacher now, he's my teacher, as well as all of you and everyone. Bob, Asia, all of you are my teachers. Barb. He told me in a channeling that Barb was my teacher. I believe it. So that love and that connection is that categorical imperative. Most important in a relation, in a moment. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not standing here to say that as a preacher because I don't have it mastered. I don't. Just look at my last week. However, it is an intention for me. It is an intention. I intend towards it. I intend towards it. I intend towards that. I intend towards it. And so I may not always succeed, and I may fail, or maybe we wouldn't even use that word, but I may not always be, I'm not masterful at that at all times. But I would say that is what I intend towards, that being most important. And I'll give you a couple other examples. Well, that's what I'm starting to be even more masterfully intending towards through the experiences I've experienced and through John's example. When we had the yoga festival last year, we had a volunteer meeting, and it was beautiful. My friend Cliff came and played music, and we had lots of people show up, and it was great. And I at the end of the thing, Cliff came up to me and he said, Grace, and he's known John for so many years, but he says, I need to tell you, I have lived in Yogananda's ashram for years. I've met saints, I've met sages, monks, I've met them all. I have never in my life experienced a human being with the intensity of love that your son exudes. And I was sitting right in front of him. And I thought to myself, it's true. And I thought, because he used to always say, oh, you exude so much love, Grace, you exude so much. I'm thinking, I did not exude near the intensity of love that he was exuding that evening, for sure. He was like sitting back in the back of the room, just like smiling and smiling at Cliff, and just, his heart. Even Asia's like, Mom, he had too much love to contain in a human body after he passed. He just couldn't contain that much love in a human body. He told her a week before he's going to explode and become the universe. And I thought to that experience and that because I thought about what Cliff has said, and I was sitting a couple seats in front of him, and maybe even just the seat in front of him, and I looked back at the whole scene and I said, I was worried about, is everyone here? Is everybody okay? Is the meeting going all right? Did we get, did everyone sign in? Did we But you know what he was still concerned about? None of that. So I wasn't exuding the love. I had all these concerns. He was just sitting in the back of the room being love. And I looked back at that time and that day. Who was making more of a difference in the world? Maybe the chairs were all lined straight and everything. But did that make that big a difference? Because he was sitting in the back, exuding this intensity of love, which anybody that has known him can agree with. That's really what he did best. And he was making a much more powerful impact in that room, in that circumstance, in that moment. Because he was being that love. He's being that beauty that shines through all of us. That we all are. That is our natural state. We are all, and we all know, that's what we are, is that pure love, that pure intensity of love. But we have these blocks, these wounds, these human conditioning things that cover some of that up, or that blocks a little bit of that up. And as someone who's been really in this huge open wound herself all week, one of the things that I've been asking and praying is, how do I heal this wound? How do I heal this wound? It's blocking me from being the love and receiving the love and that categorical imperative, that most important thing. We were looking at Corinthians 13:13, faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. So, how do I heal that? I have not figured it out. I just haven't. I haven't figured it out. But I do know that I'm surrounded by these beautiful friends and these beautiful people called human beings and dear beloved friends that exude such an intensity of love all around me, that carry me when I'm wounded, carry me when I'm in that dark night. So maybe I don't need to know how to do it. Because I just truly don't. I'm too prepared to say, I don't know. And this wound that's been coming up for me, that blocks me from love, puts up a wall between some of the people that I love the most, I don't know how to heal it. But maybe all I need is love. Is to just stay that intention of love. And through the times when we're having hard times as humans and we have the roller coaster of life, as life takes us through our challenges and our ups and our downs, and with relationships and life and everything, that when we are in those down places, when those wounds are open and being triggered, just remember that categorical imperative. That the truth inside of us, and this is one thing I faced, is, well, maybe I'm just not love. I can't speak about love. And it's still there. The love is still there. It can't be threatened. There's nothing we can do, and there's nothing we can experience that can threaten that love. It's an eternal state of all of our beings as we walk hand in hand, side by side as equals home, walk one another home. It's just to remember that love can't be threatened. And it's still there, but we go through our own human steps to heal moment to moment, day to day, and help each other out. I can't do this alone. This love. So I want to take everyone just to a short meditation to close. So I invite everyone to just close your eyes and feel the earth underneath you. And this, my son John and I used to wrestle in the living room. And he, at 160 to 170 pounds, wrestling against this little over 100-pound woman, Mama, had a hard time getting me down. Because what I would do is I would connect to Mother Earth, our mother, our physical human mother. Every cell in our body was once in the earth as a plant, as a mineral, as one of the elements. So I invite you to feel that part of your body that's connected to the earth, either it's your back or your feet, and to feel that yourself deeply, deeply connected and rooted into that Mother Earth energy. And feel roots go down from your feet or your back, whatever it is, and go deep down into the Mother Earth, deep down into that unconditional love, that unconditional love of the Mother. One thing I've always told my children: I love you unconditionally, infinite, with infinite leaves, always and forever. And I would tell them there is nothing you can ever do to change that. That is done. And that's the same as the Mother Earth. So bringing those roots down, connecting into the center of Mother. Feeling those roots expand out into the entire globe, a web of roots, and feeling those roots combining with all the other human beings and animals, all the other plant life, everything, all the trees, and it combining in as a huge ball and root system that is all one magnificent energy that is pure love. Pure love from the Mother Earth, the feminine. And then imagine that love growing and expanding and multiplying and the power building, and then all that love and all that energy coming back up through your roots, through your feet, through whatever part of your body that's connected to the earth, and coming up into your body, flooding every cell, every molecule, every finger, every toe, and coming into the heart, that radiant center of your being, and then expanding out in all directions as a magnificent divine grace, the super sun that you are, that we all are. The sun, the yang, the earth, the yin, one grand expression of life, doing its very best, moment to moment, day to day, as a human life, animating and expressing the divine that dwells and lives within you. Thank you very much. Namaste to you all.